Maybe I should have only done 1 glug of oil. We just got this sweet Phaser 2 in. It's my buddy's, and he wants to get it fixed up for his kid. It did run before it was parked, so that's kind of the good thing. Hopefully this thing doesn't need that much, but we are gonna give it a tune-up before winter actually gets here. I'm hoping we can get away without cleaning the carburetors on this, but if we have to, we will. Check for spark on this thing before we get too far. I hooked up the jump pack because I'm hoping the starter works on this. There's not a whole lot of metal to put these plugs on, and I'm by myself, so. I don't see anything on that one. Try wiggling the tether a little bit. I got 1 spark out of that. I ain't really getting the best spark out of that. I was told the tether was kind of weird before, so. There we go. Alright, now I've got way better spark. I don't know if you saw that or not. That tether is really weird. We might end up trying to fix that or replace it. These plugs look like garbage. If you go to order plugs, you should try to pay attention if you have the caps on these or not, or if it's just the skinny rod, because they sell these with just solid fat connectors on the top, or the ones that you can unscrew the top of. I guess let's check the fuel system next. The gas caps are kind of cool on these old Yamahas. These fancy little covers and push tabs and stuff. I don't know if that's good or bad, but this thing is completely bone dry. I wonder how bad it smells. It smells more like cow shit than anything. So I want to get to the float bowls on the carburetor because I want to try to drain them out. It looks like the best way to see it is maybe take this side cover off and try to look in it that way. Another thing I just noticed is this belt is sitting super low in the secondary. It doesn't really feel all that great down the sides. A belt kind of looks like, kind of shaped like that on the sides. It's like if you were to cut the belt in half, that's kind of what it would look like. Right now it kind of feels like it's kind of cut in, like it's kind of not straight. It kind of has like a bow to it, and it doesn't feel even on each side. And because it's sitting so low in the secondary, I think it's actually like in here, way in here, like it's missing all of this part of the belt. So I'm not really a fan of that. I don't think it'll blow apart. The kids aren't that old, but they've got some pretty big fields, and I don't want the belt to blow off of it when they're a mile away from home. So anyways, we were at the carburetors. All right, so down in there's the bowl, but I don't see anything that's like screaming at me to drain it. These carbs are kind of weird because they're all like 1 carburetor bank. I almost think if we're gonna have any hope of getting the bowls drained, we might end up taking the secondary off, because I think you have to do that in order to get the air box out of it. Kind of looks like that. So, all right, let's take secondary off. That looks like a bolt head, so maybe if I crack that loose, it'll drain everything out of what's in the bowl. Plus, by taking this out, whatever the end of this bolt looks like will probably be a good indication of what the inside of that carb looks like. I almost think that these guys took care of this the right way, which really surprises me knowing them, because that looks beautiful. There's no gas in the tank. It's almost like they ran it completely out of fuel and then stored it. I don't know if that was on purpose or by accident, but that other carburetor looks kind of like a bitch to get to. So I think we're just going to try putting some gas in this and cranking over the electric start. Give it a chance to suck some fuel in and go from there. Because this is sat for so long, I might put a little bit of 2-stroke oil in the gas, kind of pre-mix it, just so it gets a good shot of oil first time it runs. So I don't want it to run dry the first time. I'm gonna put a little AMSOIL in it, and I'm just gonna put a couple glugs in it. Yeah, that's like the perfect 147 to 326 ratio I ever did. Just so you know, that's not a real ratio. So about 2 glugs of oil to like 30 seconds of pouring is the correct premix ratio for a sled that's been sitting for about 5 years. Only in that scenario though. So now we're gonna mix it up. Perfect. I am gonna stick the secondary back on though, because if this thing does fire up and decides it wants to run away, at least I can control the motor RPM with the brake. On a belt, you always put it on so when you're standing beside the sled, you can read the letters. God, I hate belts. Well, I should get the ass end of this thing in here. I don't know, let's give it the Ugga Duggas. Look at that. I wonder if that's supposed to just vibrate around in there. I don't know. Let's try it some more. Don't die, baby. Maybe I should have only done 1 glug of oil. Alright, now it's cold in here because I gotta have the doors open. Let's see if the plugs are gonna tell me anything. It kind of sounded like it was running on 1 cylinder there for a little bit. But I also really didn't put that much gas in it. And I've got the ass end up in the air. So it's possible it was just running out of fuel. Because when I revved it up, it seemed to run all right. Both plugs feel warm. So this is the PTO side. It's a little wet. Can't believe this thing fired up after I just hit the key. It had to have been fuel in the line or something. They're both pretty wet. I know when he first brought it over, the cylinders felt pretty dry, so I did put just a little bit of 2-stroke oil down the plug holes, but it wasn't that much. So that definitely would explain why it smoked like a bastard when I first fired it up. When I had the gas cap off, I was looking in the tank and I don't see where the pickup line comes into it. Like the line that goes from the fuel pump into the actual tank. There's usually like a long line that goes down and sits in the bottom of the tank. I didn't see that from the gas cap, but it could be because it's on that side of the tank and not this side over here. But I'm assuming it's going to the back of the tank, so I'm gonna try to set the ass end of this down a lot closer to the ground because I don't need to have that much of a gap underneath it. So I'm gonna drop that stand down a couple clicks, see if we can get a little more fuel to it, and then try to fire it up again, see how it sounds. always fuel because when I hit the choke, it kicks right back up. So whether that's a lack of fuel in the tank or if it's a lack of fuel getting to the motor because of a dirty jet, I don't really know. I guess let's check the fuel level. Yeah, I don't expect you to be able to see any of that. Kind of smoky in there. I don't know, there's definitely fuel in it, but like an inch maybe. Maybe I'll put some more gas in it. So remember how I said that the carburetor seemed good enough and we were just gonna run it that way? Well, my buddy decided he wanted to take it and run it for the weekend. So you broke it already?
Uh-huh, sure.
It was running beautiful in the garage.
Sorta, kinda.
Sorta, kinda. So what was it doing?
It's dogging out really bad.
That's not good. Hey, let me grab the dollar. Well, that's why your muffler bearing fell off.
Oh, let's load it back up.
Oh, okay. So, we're gonna actually pull the carburetor off of this. How much runtime do you actually think you got on this?
I'd say a good hour and a half.
Really?
Hour and a half, yeah.
And it didn't clean up? Like...
No, it kept dogging.
Dogging?
Yeah, once you got moving, it ran pretty good, but...
Okay, so there's a choke here and a choke down in there, and then the throttle cables go on that side, but there's one of these cables controls the oil pump. So I think we're just gonna take the clamps off here, pop the carbs off, and then worry about the cables after that. Good. All right, one fuel line.
I smell gas.
Yeah, it's because it's leaking out of there.
Well, I don't like it.
Well, I'm sorry.
What are you pulling? I see something moving down here.
A fuel line that was leaking.
Cool.
Ooh. One choke. Alright. Got that off. Probably just gonna push up on this. Pop that one out. That was easy enough. Alright. We're gonna have to set these cables again. Actually, if we don't move this jam nut very much, it should be pretty close. Alright, now we got them off. That's a lot of gas. Maybe I should have put it in the oil thing.
Maybe.
We might set this garbage can outside.
Maybe.
Alright, so we got these on the bench. Let's see how bad they look. That one doesn't look too bad. That one's got a little bit of crap in it. Really, neither of these look all that bad. But it only takes one little piece of shit.
Boom. Let's see. First time I've ever done this system. Pulling out of the hood. Fingers feel great for this.
All right, I want to pull these fuel screws out, but I need to see how far they're out first. So we're going to count these. 1/2, 1, 1 1/4. All right, so I got all the jets cleaned up, and really nothing looked that bad. So we're gonna just start putting this back together, and we're gonna put it back on the sled. All right, so this is all back together and ready to go back on, but this tether is in a really dumb spot. So if you turn the handlebars all the way, it pops tether off, which is kind of dumb. And Mike doesn't want a tether on this anymore, which works out good. So we are just gonna unhook this all together. Right, you don't want one on it, do you?
No.
Okay. I can't quite see enough, so we're gonna pull this off.
Well, good. I need a new headlight anyway.
All right, so that's what we have. We're gonna try to undo all of this, which it looks like you just spliced wires. Like it looks like there's a black and white here on each end. Those probably need to go together and get rid of that. And these black wires here could get put together a little better. And these red and whites can go together. And how good they're connected. Alright, so we just put some bullet connectors on that to get rid of all that mess. Now we are going to put all this dash panel back together and put the airbox on. Alright, so we're going to put this on. Alright, so I want to set the throttle free play before it actually pulls the slide open. So I don't know if you can see that right there. There's a little bit of free play there. I want to give it a little more. So I don't know how to check the oil pump on this thing because it's not like a normal one. It looks like it runs off the primary down here. So, but I'm just gonna make sure there's no slack in the cable here, and that as soon as the throttle cable gets pulled, it pulls. So we're gonna call that good enough, and we're just gonna keep our eye on it when we first start riding it. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right, we got all that put back together. So now we're gonna restring the recoil because it's only got like 3 feet of pull on it, and then it runs out. So we're gonna pop this off and change the rope. All right, guys, you're YouTube famous now.
Oh, great. That's good.
This has a lot of miles on it.
Hopefully this will come out of here without taking the motor out.
What? Why wouldn't it?
You need to do it on there, and then put it all
What do you
together.
do with the? You just cut the rope or something, or what?
Yeah, that's probably what we'll do if I can get this thing out.
Wait, just try to do something.
Here we go. Yay. Yeah, vice grips on.
Great.
All right, now we go to the bench. Ugh. All right, so I got this in the vise right now. I got my new recoil rope, and I kind of heated up the end so it's not all frayed and ugly looking. But because this recoil rope isn't broke, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull this old recoil rope all the way out. And then I'm gonna hold it. And while I'm holding it, I'm gonna fish out this nut. Actually, what I'm gonna do is on the new rope, I'm gonna tie a knot in the end of this first. So this knot's already in here. Now I'm gonna pull this all the way out, cam this out of the way. I'm gonna take and cut this off. Pull out the old rope. Get that started in there. Get that pulled out. Tie a knot on this end now. So now I got a knot there. Shove that down in there. Now I'm just gonna let the recoil suck all this new rope in. And there we go. So that's the easy way to change that out. Now, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put this back in the sled, and then I'm gonna chop this off, put the recoil handle on it, and then tie a new knot. But I use about 6 foot of rope on this. I don't know, I'm about 6 foot tall, and I just did a wingspan amount of rope, and that should be way better than what we had. Ta-da! Alright, let's get that bolted up. So now that the recoil's done, we are going to drain the oil out of this and clean it up and put fresh fluid in it. So the only way to get this to drain the fluid out is to take the cover off. Yuck. It doesn't feel like it's very loose. We're gonna get some carburetor cleaner and start spraying all this out, kind of let it drain down. I do have a drain pan down here. So we're gonna get all this nasty stuff out of here, and then we are going to re-snug this up, and then we're just gonna put some fresh stuff in it. I don't know what this stuff is, but this stuff is nasty. It's like honey. I mean, it's kind of nice because it's super thick. It would definitely stick to everything, but usually chain case oil is not this thick. So I don't know if it's a gear lube or if it's got Lucas in it or something. I'm not really quite sure what this is. Usually carburetor cleaner will take anything off, but it's not even touching this stuff. So we're gonna get the case cover cleaned up, and then we're gonna throw it back on here. All right, so for this chain case, this is an inspection plug. We are gonna pull this out, and then we're gonna pop this rubber plug out, and then we're gonna put fluid in here until it starts coming out that hole. We're gonna put some clutch chain case lube in it. We're just gonna start squeezing it in there. Oh. Starts coming out the hole. And put that plug back in it and call her good enough. All right, so the last thing I want to do on a chain case is I want to make sure this chain is tight enough. So you back off this jam nut, and then what you're supposed to be able to do is just hand tighten this. But I can't hand tighten it or loosen it. So what we're gonna do is just ever so slightly take this in till it starts to snug up. And then once this starts to get kind of tight, I'm gonna back it off a little bit and then call that good enough. Now I'm gonna run this jam nut up till it gets tight, snug that up. All right, I'm gonna throw the exhaust back in it, put that fan shroud on it, and then we're gonna try to fire it up and see how it runs. I almost forgot to put the fuel lines on, so I just got that on, and I did want to try to test the recoil while I let the GoPro charge a little bit, and it like fired up like instantly. So I was like kind of surprised that it fired up without the fuel lines even on it, and I'm not really even sure what the motor was burning because the carbs were completely bone dry. But regardless, it started, so that makes me happy because I was kind of nervous I may have screwed up the wiring in here. I've got the ass end off the ground right now, so let's see how this thing runs. Give it a choke. just turn the idle down a little bit. That's a little better. I don't know, it sounds like it's running pretty good. Well, I don't think that was too bad for it sitting for 5 years. Hopefully the kids are gonna enjoy it. So there you have it, guys. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, go out and fix something. Peace.